Before I get into this video, I just want to say thank you so much, guys. We did it! We did it. We hit 1,000 subs, and I have you guys to thank for it. Thank you guys so much for all the support you gave me. Seriously, it is very much appreciated. So, that means I got some news. Coming out soon, I'm going to figure out a day, I haven't figured out which day yet, that we are going to do all 4 Batman Arkham games in one day on a live stream. I just need to figure out a day for it. And as soon as I figure it out, I will let you guys know. We will set it up, and we will do the thing. Oh my gosh, this is very exciting. And yeah, so I wanted to thank you guys for everything. So today's video, I actually wanted to go into a video that is what made my channel the most popular. And that was Under the Mayo's review of Batman Arkham Knight. Oh my goodness, this ruffled a lot of feathers when this first came out. But having played Batman Arkham Knight not too long ago myself, I wanted to go into this and see, was he entirely wrong? Did he maybe have some good points that maybe I was too blinded to see, or something I wasn't really fully aware of? But now that I've recently gone through and replayed it, there are some things I might be able to actually agree or disagree even more upon. So without wasting any more of your time, let's get into the video.
For years, the Batman Arkham series has been recommended to me by viewers, and I take a recommendation seriously. I started an entire series for it, going on 4 years now. This year, I finally got to Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. I did a video covering both of them, and long story short, I thought Asylum was cool, though it lost my attention after 10 hours or so, while Arkham City is...
How did Arkham Asylum take you 10 hours? There's no... Unless he was just over-exaggerating, there's no way Arkham Asylum took over 10 hours.
One of my favorite games of the year.
Best game of the franchise. I agree with him on this.
I'm not even a Batman fan, and I was able to fully immerse myself in the Batman experience in Arkham City.
Facts.
Exploring, beating up thugs, solving mysteries, and feeling generally motivated to continue the main storyline, despite not being into the Batman mythology myself.
Yep, that's a great way of putting it. Batman Arkham City is the game that did that for a lot of people. It's what got them into, you know, Batman and the lore, villains, crime scene investigation, that sort of stuff.
If you have not seen my video on the first 2 games, I recommend you start there before watching this, because everything good I have to say about the series is contained in that video. I really liked Arkham City, let me make that clear, and having to make such a strong prelude to this video should tell you exactly where this is going.
I already know he's going.
I've been...
He's gonna do the thing, watch.
...warned ever since the release of that video that I'm going to struggle with Arkham Knight. Not universally, some of the comments talk about how it has the best combat in the series.
Yep.
I've seen some videos on YouTube showing off what Batman can do, it looked really cool. But a lot more people talked about how much of a downgrade it is, and how bad the driving sections are. I wanted to give it a fair shot,
I can see
just
that.
to pick it up and play and see where it takes me. And, well, I'm fucking shocked. I had no idea it could be this bad.
He said the thing. He said the thing. Now, to be fair, like, I'm not going to agree with him on that. The game is not that bad. But there are certain aspects I will agree it is a downgrade.
Arkham Knight is hands down one of the most irritating, frustrating, and boring games I've played in years.
Okay.
It's not even bad in an interesting way. The whole thing is just wrong. So many people warned me about the driving sections, but no one actually gave me a sense of just how much of the game they take up. They made it seem like an inconvenience.
Now, I'm going to get into the Batmobile here a bit, because having gone through it, I do agree that the Batmobile wasn't correctly used all the time. There were certain parts it shouldn't have been in. Specifically more in the main story, but I'll get into that.
Thing you have to tolerate and try to ignore. No, I swear half this fucking game is driving the Batmobile.
To be fair, even though, like, you know, I forget the guy's name who did, like, the stats, even though it takes up, about 20% of the game if you include everything, even though that's true, it does feel like a lot of this game is Batmobile. I'm gonna agree with him on this one.
Driving around the streets and fighting tanks. Tank combat, just what you want in a Batman game.
That I don't agree with. Tank combat in this game, I think is actually really cool. Not the Cobra tank sections, but I'm talking about the actual just tank battles, the unmanned tanks. That's cool. I'm perfectly okay with those sections.
Dodging missiles and blowing up 10 tanks in an arena fight, sneaking around Cobra tanks driven by morons that can't hear the Batmobile running over things behind them.
Technically it's unmanned, but even if it's, like, controlled with somebody on a controller, you know, I'm assuming that they probably have the money for audio and such, so his point isn't entirely wrong. Cobra tank sections suck.
and then shooting them in the back. Over and over and over. Yeah. Missions where you gotta find a way to get the Batmobile into the areas.
Yeah, no, that is like the worst part of the game, in my opinion. I'm actually gonna agree with him on this. Like, when you have, like, this section here that he's showing, no. Or, like, towards the end of the game, no. It's not fun to do that in the main story. It makes it feel like just extra puzzle solving for the sake of it, rather than actually something interesting that adds on to the actual game.
So it can do something for you. Call the Batmobile so it can save you. It never ends.
Yeah.
Main missions, side missions, it doesn't matter.
I'm okay with it being in side missions, though, because the game did only have one game to make it work, and they wanted to use it as much as possible. Unfortunately, there are spots that it probably shouldn't have been used, but side missions, I'm okay with it being in.
Oh, I'm gonna do this side quest and stop this bad guy from burning buildings. Let's get him. Oh, no, I have to chase him in the Batmobile, of course.
No. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world to have to deal with, but I understand it can be tedious, yes.
Oh, the Riddler kidnapped Catwoman. I like Catwoman, let's go save her. Shit, I have to race around the sewer first?
And collect 243 Riddler trophies and solve the riddles as well. Don't forget about that. But I actually like these Riddler racetracks, actually, low-key. Like, I actually think they were actually kind of fun. They get progressively harder. Yeah, I think those are perfectly well and good.
Laps? Great. Okay, is she free now? No? I have to find and complete more of these driving challenges to save her? Well, sorry, Catwoman, that's not gonna happen. You can just die for all I care. I'm gonna say it again, I'm fucking shocked. There came a point where I got so fed up with the game that I turned it off for, I don't know, a solid week, maybe more.
Yeah.
I put out some other videos, played some indie games.
Yeah, and the thing is, as well, is that, you know, people could probably forgive the overuse, to a certain extent, of the Batmobile if it wasn't for the fact that the story itself is not engaging enough to make it worthwhile of having the Batmobile.
Finally, I came back to Arkham Knight, not remembering where I left off. I hit continue and loaded right into a fucking tank section.
Oh, fuck.
It is awful.
That would be awful, yeah.
And when the driving sections finally end, you get thrown into melee combat, and it's like whiplash. I can't even remember what game I was playing.
Okay, well, let's not diss the combat. The combat in this game's amazing.
What do all these buttons do again? How do I use the environmental attacks? I gotta look it up every time I open the game. Why is it the same button combination as picking up weapons? Why are there more colored indicators to react to? Blue indicators, red indicators, glowing objects, glowing people. Too much crap on screen. And why does the combat feel slower compared to Arkham City? Am I imagining things?
Yeah. Batman's so much faster in this game than Arkham City. It's just that there's a lot more thugs to deal with, so the sessions go on for longer. And I also understand that later on he had said in another video that this was, like, it was kind of like a joke in a way. Like, he wasn't fully serious about, like, the flashing lights, so I'm going to let that one pass.
The melee combat just doesn't feel as good to me. I remember when I first picked up City after...
Here's what I'll say. The combat in Arkham Knight feels cleaner, in a way. Like, it kind of feels like... I don't know how to explain it other than clean. It's just super well cleaned up. Arkham City's is a little bit... Like, it's not quite as good in terms of Batman's capabilities. But I understand the point he's making here, that Arkham City's can feel more challenging and thus a bit more fun sometimes.
After Asylum, and I tried to pick random fights in the street, I got my ass kicked right away and repeatedly. In Arkham Knight, if I pick fights, everyone is just a pushover.
That could be for a couple different reasons. First of all, Batman in this game is borderline overpowered, especially with that new suit that he gets at the start of the game, with the fear multi-takedowns and everything. Like, yeah, he's a bit too overpowered. His punches are a lot harder. He hits faster. He can move into farther ranges. But also, the thugs in this game, the game developers just might not have made them strong enough as well, like, to deal with the damage. That could be it as well.
I don't know how to describe this in detail. It's just a feeling. I get that it's cool to have more options or different options, but the combat encounters themselves don't seem to really make that feel very satisfying. One thing I loved in Arkham City was how seamlessly they introduced the functionality of your gear into the exploration of the world.
Yeah, Arkham City did an amazing job with that. I agree.
The electric gun would open doors, the freeze bombs shut off the steam pipes and could be used to form glaciers on the water, and the grapple would pull you across.
No, I agree with him on this. The Arkham City did almost like a perfect job with gadget tutorials.
For always engaging with your gadgets, which made me want to use them more in combat because I remembered I had them. I'm not getting that experience in Arkham Knight. Instead, the solution to all these puzzles tends to be find a way to make the car do it. In Arkham City,
He's not entirely wrong at that point. Like, a lot of things do need to be solved using the Batmobile, and I understand that's great for a lot of people. But as well as, like, the gadgetry in this game, people kind of... Or I shouldn't say people. I guess the gadgets in this game, the game doesn't really make you want to use them, because Batman himself is already borderline overpowered to begin with. That, like, me personally, I very rarely actually find myself using the gadgets in these games.
I felt badass mastering the Batman fighting style.
Yeah.
In Arkham Knight, I just want every fight to be over so I can move on. But move on to what? The 50th Joker conversation?
No. You don't be dissing my Joker conversations. Those are hilarious. Joker is, like, the funniest part of this game, and sometimes the best part of the campaign, in my opinion.
Next driving sequence, the next side mission that I'm absolutely trying to avoid because there's a 50% chance it involves the Batmobile. I can't even get into the world because, as I've said, I'm not a Batman fan. But Arkham City got me there. It got me interested in the experience, and I liked exploring and interacting with it.
Well, I think that's also partially due to the Arkham Knight writing staff it was changed, right, from Arkham City to Arkham Knight. It was different writing staff. So I think that could be why that Arkham City might have been more engaging than Arkham Knight, because the writers had to pick up from a place that they had no experience in writing in, right? The Arkham City writers knew what they were doing, having done it in Asylum as well.
The characters. It felt like an authentic Batman world.
Yeah.
Fantasy, but grounded in a way.
Yeah.
Arkham Knight does not feel like a Batman game. It feels more like... Oh, God, this is gonna...
No, he's going to do the thing, and I'm going to rage here in a second, but
get me
just
in
listen
so
to
much
this.
trouble with people.
Just listen.
It feels like Batman porn. There's a moment early on when you're rescuing hostages, and Batman stops in the middle of the mission to call in an airdrop where he upgrades his suit. And it's this gross, overindulgent scene of, oh yeah, fuck yeah, look at all that sweet gear. Batman's so badass. Never mind the hostages are waiting to be rescued. Let's run around doing these VR training missions for the next 20 minutes. So,
first of all, you don't have to do the VR training missions, not to my knowledge at least. Second of all, you can skip that scene. Third of all, you do that in Batman Arkham City as well. But also, they want to show you how to use the thing. It's like a tutorial, like how you had mentioned earlier, that Batman Arkham City, use their gadgets at tutorials. It's the same concept here.
We can try out all this radical Batman tech. It's gross. I felt like I needed a shower. It's not just Batman being Batman in Arkham City. It's Batman in the newest high-tech gear, man. He's got secret headquarters built all around the city. The Batwing flies in to help him. He's driving in the Batmobile shooting tanks, crashing into hundreds of cars and destroying the city and running over people without a care because he's so badass. I cannot get into this.
I think that's also partially, you're not as into it, though, because you're not really a Batman fan, like you had mentioned previously. People who are into superhero stuff, or people who are into, driving sections in games and stuff, are gonna love this kind of stuff.
I'm not saying there aren't things I like. I'm not saying there aren't good combat moments. I enjoyed figuring out some of the scenarios with multiple armed guards. I enjoyed encountering an actual puzzle during the campaign on the blimp. That was cool. It's fun to be able to swing off your grapple and instantly start flying, though it does feel significantly less grounded in Batman's abilities.
I am glad that there is something in this game you liked, at least. I'm glad.
I had fun here and there, but it was completely buried by dozens of experiences in misery and tedium. I couldn't finish it. I made it halfway into the Harley Quinn section, and I gave up. It didn't matter that it was presenting me with more actual combat. I think I just didn't care anymore. I don't want to risk any more side missions involving the Batmobile. I don't care who the Arkham Knight is or what he wants. I don't care to find out how Joker's blood is infecting people with his personality or whatever. I've had it up to here with this ridiculously bloated and unintuitive upgrade system where you can upgrade like 200 things. It's enough. I've had enough.
I'm gonna give him I'm not gonna harp on him as much as I did last time with not finishing the game. Because having played through the campaign myself, the campaign is not very engaging. Now, the only counter argument to this is that was the first time that he was playing through the game. But if he's hating it that much, then I understand putting the controller down and saying that's enough. And I think it's partially because he's not a Batman fan. But also, the writing in this game was just... It wasn't great. You know, when you look at it in hindsight, it wasn't great. At the time that this game came out, I enjoyed the story of this just because the gameplay was, like, so good. And at the time, I was just, like, a little kid, you know. A stupid little thing would have entertained me back then. So it's a little bit different than it is today when you actually look at things and you actually play the game and see, wow, none of these characters are engaging. Scarecrow's not really engaging. The Arkham Knight's kind of just like a typical cliche supervillain. Batman is less interesting than ever. He's a bit overpowered in the combat. I understand these complaints, and he's not entirely wrong.
This game sucks. I'm gonna drink it out of my memory and just keep Arkham City in my thoughts. Thank you to everyone who warned me about this game. I wish I'd stayed away. And I'm tagging this on at the end because I feel everyone's gonna ask what I thought about the Fear Takedown. I think it's a completely unnecessary addition that makes stealth sections way too easier than they already are, since...
You know what, that's a fair take, and I kind of respect that a little bit. So guys, having gone through this video, was Under the Mayo right about Batman Arkham Knight? I'm going to say not entirely. While, you know, he may have had some points that were correct, there were some things that he was kind of also wrong about as well. I'm not as harsh on him as I was in my initial review of his video, because I was in such, like, defensiveness of the game at the time. But now, having gone back and played it myself, I understand where some of his points are coming from, and he's not totally in the wrong. But let me know what you guys think. Was he totally in the wrong? Do you guys think he also had some good points? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Thank you guys so much again for 1,000 subs. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for everything, because without you guys, I have nothing to go off of. So thank you guys so much for everything. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to subscribe for more content. Make sure to leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys later. Peace!